Hello, hello. So this is week 55, and we're talking about balancing goals with healing. And that's something that I have, in hindsight, realized I've been trying to juggle for 18, 19 years, depending on which piece. Like, I was pretty severely in survival mode for a lot of the time. So, yeah, just kind of thinking back, I went right from this hyper controlling home to the Marines. And so it really wasn't until after the 6 months of Marine training, and then being almost bedridden for another 2-3 months, and then trying to figure out how to function, that I was really able to focus on healing. And even then, I didn't make it a big priority because I felt so much pressure to catch up to where I would have been, where I imagined I might have been if I hadn't been held back, if I hadn't been, in a way, imprisoned, which I wasn't literally imprisoned, but psychologically, emotionally, you can be trained to endure and tolerate extreme things if you are in that environment from early on. It's similar to the elephant that is trained from an early age, that if the owner puts the stake in the ground that the elephant's leash is tied to, it believes it cannot get away from that. And so even as an adult, the elephant, even though it can pull trees out of the ground, won't move if the leash is staked into the ground. And it's amazing how many patterns of belief that we carry as we move forward. And so learning to prioritize healing along with reaching goals and all of that is such a tricky balance. And I felt so much pressure. Just, I can't say it was from anything other than myself, but I felt this immense pressure to catch up to where I might have been, I should have been, or I felt like I should have been, in order to, I think, avoid shame, really. So I wasn't in the place of even allowing myself to be where I was at, and I didn't realize that I had complex PTSD and layers and layers and layers of stuff to recover from and heal from. And I should have just really been supportive of myself and compassionate toward myself and not push myself as hard as I did. But I kept at it. So being able to balance healing with reaching for goals is a tricky thing. And what made me think about that this last weekend was I got to participate in a pickleball tournament. I love pickleball. I've been playing for about 6 years and have recently started getting more focused about how do I be intentional about getting better and improving my skills and leveling up and all of that. And it's a fun game, but it can be very triggering for me depending on who I'm playing with and how intense they are, because if someone is really dominating me, then it's so easy for me to flash back into being a little kid, and my dad is tormenting me, trying to get me to realize how stupid and useless I am. And the only way to get peace when I was a little kid was to acquiesce, to acknowledge that that was true. And so it's really challenging for me sometimes in certain settings to play with highly competitive, very aggressive players or play against them, and to kind of remember in my mind, I'm not in that situation I was when I was a kid, and this is not what's happening right now. So I got to play men's singles on Friday night and mixed doubles on Sunday. And it looks like I just noticed that I said Saturday in my post, but it was Sunday. So so then I had a little bit of a meltdown in my last game on Friday night, and it was really late. My group, everyone was assigned to a specific court, and so people had to take turns playing games, and we played round robin. Everybody played everybody first, and then the best two out of two different courts in my round, in my pool, went on to compete against each other. So 4 people, best 2 out of each of the 2 courts that were in my pool, competed in the semifinals, and then there was a gold medal match and a bronze medal match. And so I didn't play well, especially that last game. I won 2, lost 2, but that last game was a tough one. And in hindsight, I realized I was having a panic attack during it. I couldn't do anything right. Couldn't hit what I wanted to hit, and it was really kind of scary, a little surreal. And so I was like reflecting on it afterward and realizing that I could have had more compassion on myself the whole time during that event, and there was a lot of aspects of it that were working against me. One was that I'd never been there before, never been at that facility before. Another one was I'd never played singles before, so I wasn't totally familiar with the format. I'd never played singles in a tournament, I should say. And it was an hour and a half away, which meant I did a lot of driving right beforehand. And driving has a lot of emotional flashback triggers for me from some traumatic stuff when I was learning to drive. So, hey Mom, good to see you. And then there was a ton of people there, so it was really, really busy, really packed. There was no Wi-Fi service in the building, so I couldn't connect outside. Everything was really close together, so the courts were close to each other, and then people were sitting along the walls, kind of right on top of courts, so everybody was on top of everybody. So not good personal space, no personal space. And so I was meeting new people and kind of, you'd think that I would get used to being an empath and, figuring out how do I need to accommodate myself, but it was a new situation. My automatic programming is to kind of look out for everyone else. So I wasn't paying attention to the fact that I was, being drained and, just like losing energy, just being there. And in hindsight, I should have, kind of figured out how long I had between matches and then maybe gone outside, had my earbuds and listened to some calming music or something and just kind of like get in my own world, get back in my body. And then I might have had a better chance, especially in that last game. Yeah, I'm trying to remember if I think it was, I sat for one game, played one game, sat for 3 games, played one game, sat for a game, and then played my last game. And so the first game started at 6, and I didn't finish my last game until 9:30. So there was long stretches of just sitting there, being surrounded by people, watching the chaos, having conversations with people I'd never met before, and definitely sensory overload, and all of that. So it was really overwhelming. And I was able to talk to my therapist on Tuesday, and something that she mentioned was that I get to honor my competitive side. And so I think there's a part of me that doesn't identify with competitiveness. And in general, I don't identify with that in the way a lot of people do, but I never had positive experiences with competitiveness. It was always very vicious and very much, I need you to know how terrible you are, and how amazing I am. And so that's kind of my association with it. There wasn't, a lot of like playful, I'm going to challenge myself while challenging you, and you're going to challenge yourself while challenging me. And so I do want that in my life, and I do want to experience that in my life. And I think that's part of the draw to pickleball and to the sport that I'm playing is being able to experience that. So being able to take care of myself and support myself while doing all that is important. And so afterward, I was like so wiped out. I was just like numb and staring on my drive home, and got home pretty late. I think I left a little after 10, which for me is late. I don't like to be out driving that late. Just for my own routine, as you guys know, when your body shuts down and when it's time for you to be in your home, and then when it's time for you to be in your bed, and all of that, if you have been paying attention to yourself. So so it got me thinking about, like, all of us are kind of in this similar situation where we have, on the one hand, our passions and our genius and our brilliance and the things that we want to do and test ourselves in, and then we've got our healing process and fatigue and self-management, self-care. And how do we balance that out? I loved that Julie posted about the race that she did, and I love that she did it, first of all, and then also made some allowances and some qualifications, set some expectations for herself of not having a time goal, but just finishing it, and was proud of herself for doing that, which I think is amazing, because if you've been watching her posts, then you know that she has, for weeks at a time, been really good at the strength training and going for walks and all that stuff, and then other weeks just not being able to do those things, just physically not being able to do those. And so her level of self-care and self-monitoring is really great. And she also wanted to do this race, and she did it. And so I think it's easy in my mind sometimes to go to an extreme and think, oh, you know what, like no more pickleball for me. Maybe I shouldn't play tournaments because it's just like too stressful, too much, and all of that. And yet, a big part of me really, really wants to do that and does enjoy the competition and being able to test myself at an event like that. And I know that we can all relate to that. So what is it that makes you come alive in that sense, that gets you excited about some kind of challenge? But also, how can you care for yourself in that space and prepare to have the most successful experience while doing that? So the thing that I am choosing, I would love to do that again. I know that I tend to be more triggered when I am playing only with men. And so I choose to avoid men's doubles, and I choose to do, hey Adam, glad you're here. I choose to do mixed doubles most of the time. And then I think singles is going to be challenging. There's less people on the court, which is a positive, but they only do it gendered, obviously. So as a man, I play men. And so that might be a little bit challenging, but I believe that there's ways that I can take care of myself with that. And I've got some specific training that I want to do with myself, and things I want to practice for staying calm and staying in tune with my energy. If I'm at a tournament again, I'm going to make sure I've got lots of water and electrolytes and snacky foods that are good for me, that I prepare ahead of time. I'll have my earbuds so I can go to another space and tune back into my body, even if it's really busy and crowded, and not feel apologetic for not being available to other people. And so lots to think about with that, and lots to plan ahead with that as well. So I want to read this, see if I do this and I can see it. All right. Interesting that I kind of went through the same type of thing with 2 weeks of jury duty. I had to get up and leave really early. Was there all day hearing really horrible things. It was an hour drive each way, so I'd come home with just enough time to get ready for the next day. It's been 5 days since the last day when we had to deliberate over 10 counts against the defendant, and I still don't feel like I have mentally recovered. Yes, that is huge. I had that same experience I think it was last September. And so I was in the same building with the artificial lighting and fluorescent lighting, which I find really draining and obnoxious. And then it's, the legal system, which is very rigid, and usually, it's around horrible crimes. So that's really draining to hear about. And then you're surrounded by people you don't know, and people that are stressed out and maybe resenting that they're there, and also frustrated about what they're hearing about. It's just a lot to deal with. And then, the traffic there and back. And so for people that are sensitive, for empaths, for more introverted personalities, it can be really, really draining. So that doesn't surprise me at all that you're still recovering from that. So listening to yourself and taking care of yourself is really important. And Adam and I have been having some conversations this last week about those kind of things, like, big goals, trying to catch up, because it's not just, something smaller like pickleball, which is a fun kind of goal, but also the big things like starting a business, and for me, writing a book, and thinking of more ways to be helpful and supportive in the areas of health and fitness for people, and to offer more features in this group and stuff like that. So how do I balance my own well-being and times like happened last weekend where I get really triggered and go into a dark place, and a lot of my trauma gets activated, and yet I'm still wanting to be of service and be a support to others around at the same time. So balancing those contrasting experiences and moving forward. So I'm feeling just like moving forward, I feel like I'm having to be more and more okay with doing it all, continuing to do it all, processing my emotions and helping others, but being willing to be messy about it. And I think I've put a lot of pressure on myself to be really clean and professional and all of that, which sometimes translates to not looking like I don't have it all together, or I'm not also dealing with trauma and my own stuff. So I want to show up fully, be present, be messy, and keep serving, keep sharing, and not pretend like I have it all together. So mom says, yes, artificial lighting, wearing a mask all day. Yep, that's true. It's a lack of oxygen. Let's see. Okay. So it's funny, every time I touch my phone, the comments really jump. Okay, let's see here. And yes, you never really know what what you're going to have you do next. They don't tell you what's happening. Yep, till it's happening. I'm glad it's over. Glad I did it, yet I feel a bit traumatized. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I have to take some time to recover from that, definitely. And Lori says, yes, I can so relate to wanting to be all together before feeling qualified to help other people. Yeah, totally. I think that's something that we probably all relate to. And that's part of the thing holding me back from like really promoting this group or promoting the app. I know more people could benefit from it. And I do plan on a lot of different upgrades for everything, but also a part of me is feeling like I need to do all those upgrades before I really promote things. But I probably don't. I'm just gonna got to keep moving forward with everything I want to do, and get to the things that I can get to. Mom says, yes, we don't have to be perfect, and even though those triggers push us to perfectionism, it's kind of like looking the monster in the face and staring it down. Yeah, it really feels that way sometimes, kind of overwhelming, and just kind of raw and vulnerable to just show up. So there was a couple of quotes that I shared with my post yesterday. One is from Dr. Brandy Zachary. If you think of something stressful, your cortisol will rise. If cortisol rises, secretory immunoglobulin A goes down. When that goes down, you become more prone to infection. This is how stressful, worried thoughts can make you physically ill. So there's definitely a balance of if you're going through something, you're going through something. And so like you don't want to make it worse by shaming yourself or feeling down about the things that you're feeling, but at the same time, just getting stuck in those things and not choosing different thoughts or choosing ways to provide self-care or to give yourself grace and give yourself the things that you need, then it's gonna compromise your actual physical immune system and cause you physical harm and illness, stuff you'll have to spend even more time to recover from. So this is where I'm such a big proponent, I'm not sure if I'm using that word right, of listening to your body and accommodating it in all the little ways that you can. Because, if you are in a stressful situation, can you take a deep breath? Keep taking deep breaths, because that's going to help. If you're in a stressful situation, can you drink more water? Drinking more water is going to help. If you can remember something that you're looking forward to that brings you joy when you think of it, think of that, because that will help. So even if it feels really insignificant in the face of everything that you're going through, you're not trying to practice toxic positivity or bypassing, ignoring the trauma, but you are also trying to care for yourself at the same time. Like, you are going through the difficult thing, but you can also assist yourself through that difficult thing in a whole bunch of little supportive ways. So hopefully that makes sense, and that you're doing that for yourself throughout the day. There's another quote here that I shared. Triggers are basically your brain and body saying, this situation is way too familiar to some awful shit we experienced before. We are not okay with it. So like noticing that, honoring that, not shaming yourself for it, or not feeling like a failure because it's challenging. So things can be overwhelming, things can be defeating, and you are still worthy. You're still good. You are still honorable. You're still worthy of respect. You're still worthy of love. And you can be a wonderful, beautiful mess and still be deserving of all the good things in life. Like, it's not based on performance. And that really lines up with this last quote that I shared by Nania Hoffman, I believe. She says, note to self, all you have to do is show up. Be late, be scared, be a mess, be weird, be confused, just be there. You'll figure out the rest as you go. I think that's so encouraging, so helpful, so on point. There's another quote that says 80% of success is showing up. I forget who says that. And it is true. Like, just keep showing up no matter what. Just keep showing up. Wonderful, beautiful mess. Yep. Let's see. See if I can get to where. Okay. Let's see. Okay. The new Daniel Pink book about regret is super helpful with this stuff. Thanks, Lori. I'll have to check that out. The enemies, perfectionism and imposter syndrome, totally. Yep. Because we feel like we're the imposter because everyone else looks like they've got it all together when they're probably feeling the same way. And if they're not, it's probably because they've got a more of a narcissistic personality, which is fine. Doesn't mean they're abusive just because they're more narcissistic. That usually works in their favor a lot of the time, but also explains why they are free of internal torment. Definition of proponent: one who argues in support of something, an advocate. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Yeah, good. All right, so just caught up. Thank you for your activity and communication. So I want to get to the comments that were left on the posts, and Manavit says, not getting a lot of movement done while working at a desk 11 to 14 hours a day, but I am consistent with sleep and hydration and only one cup of caffeine in the morning in a smoothie, and eating whole foods and not craving sweets or other snacky items. It is effortless even during this stressful time. 6 and 7 day weeks of tax season left. So yeah, this is crazy. If you do anything in the tax business, this is a crazy time for you. And she says, I'm really happy with that. Even did yoga and stretching before work this morning at 6 a.m. So that's pretty amazing. So you're working 11 to 14 hours a day at a desk, but you are prioritizing your sleep. You're prioritizing your hydration. You've only got one cup of caffeine in the morning that's in your smoothie. You are eating whole foods and not feeling sugar or sweet cravings or other snacky things. And you're choosing to be happy with what you're doing. And you even got some yoga and stretching in this morning before work. So totally get that. You are doing amazing with your survival mode because that's literally survival mode. Working that much and using that much brain power. I can't imagine trying to crunch numbers like that for 11 to 14 hours a day. That'd probably kill me with a headache. But yeah, good job prioritizing, balancing your self-care with the season that you're in right now. So really, really good job. And then Nadi says, I am on a struggle bus this week. Laugh crying emoji. My friend who I am staying with in Florida sprained her ankle last week, and it's like a gnarly reversal of where I found myself last year when I broke my ankle and my ex was my caretaker. So many family wounds and old patterns are coming up in this dynamic, and I am just shutting down and surviving the best I can. Although I know I'm in a better place, I'm like, WTF is this? Why is this happening? Haha. So small wins are getting a walk or getting groceries delivered. That's good. It's good to focus on the small wins. Yeah, celebrate those, no matter how small it is. I'm holding a strong field and have a knowing this is an initiation. It's a challenge. This friend is very glass half empty minded, and I had no idea the extent of it until I arrived. I am doing all the things to end this karmic contract and say, universe, I get the message now. Laugh crying emoji. Luckily, I'm only here for 2 more weeks, and at that point, I'll probably have some healing to do. Thank you for your witness, everyone. Celebrating your pickleball tournament, I hope it went well. So, yeah, so that's tricky. So, not only did you just move to a new state, and you're to Florida, and you're with a friend and kind of crashing at her place and all that, but then all of a sudden beyond you trying to manage all of your life circumstances and improve things for yourself. She breaks her ankle, sprains her ankle, and you're the caretaker. So that's challenging for sure, and really, really proud of you for staying strong, even though you're on the struggle bus. And just like love your optimism and your ability to look forward and know that things will get better, and kind of supporting yourself and holding yourself up along the way. So really good job with that. And you said you're celebrating the pickleball tournament and hope it went well. So I didn't quite finish my whole story with that. So I am encouraged to continue to practice singles, because I want to do that again. But then also I played in mixed doubles on Sunday. So a friend that I know through pickleball was able to connect me with a friend of hers to partner with me on Sunday. And she's a little bit lower skill level, 3.5 versus 4.0 for that. And she's 60, so she was kind of hesitant to partner with me. But otherwise I wouldn't have been able to play. I was really happy to have her, and she's a really solid player. There were some aspects of it that was challenging for her, but I think the biggest thing was just that she doubted herself, and she let herself be overwhelmed and intimidated by the level of play that we were engaging with. But I called breaks for us, timeout for us, and encouraged her, and she did really, really well. We actually made it into the semifinals, lost our semifinal, so we played the other team that lost their semifinal for bronze. So we made it to the bronze medal match, and then we lost that one as well. So we made it to fourth place, basically, in our division of 9 teams. But yeah, I was really, really proud of how hard she worked, and also of myself for staying calm. And that day was way better as far as like staying in my body and just like not freaking out, not having a panic attack, but kind of like staying calm, focusing on just me and the ball, and yeah, just playing well, I think, through that, and met some other people that I might be able to be partners with in the future. And so I'm excited for more mixed doubles games as well. So thanks for asking about that. And thank you for sharing, Nadi. We are behind you. We are supporting you. We're sending lots of love and strength and encouragement, and lots of blessing for really good things coming up the next couple of weeks as you transition to new situations. So all the best to you. Then Danielle says, I'm getting ready to leave my toxic situation permanently. It's been a struggle to be consistent in the gym lifting weights, but it's where I love to be. Lifting heavy things is something I shared with my toxic person. We went often together. Sadly, I never felt good enough, and my body didn't showboat like his did. Not the female-male differences. So I think she's saying she's not talking about just female-male differences. What worked for him never worked for me. No matter how hard I tried, I never measured up, and he would point out my areas of weakness. I didn't know about intuitive momentum yet. But being around this person just made it worse, especially being so self-conscious about my body. So years ago, I came up with my own fitness dream, which was to do a sprint triathlon, swim, bike, run. I've tried 3 times, and life events got in the way at each attempt. This desire was never supported because he didn't care for that kind of fitness himself. My goal is to finally train for one and to complete it. I want to find ways for me that's mine and create new fitness memories. Of course, I'll still always lift weights. I think that's really cool and really insightful. That's something I think that has been a big benefit for me of all of the health issues that I had and the struggles that I had and still have, is that I have had to practice compassion on myself, and I have practiced a lot of compassion for people around me, and I've heard a lot of stories as a trainer for 15 and a half years, working in the industry and working with clients. I'm always curious to know what has worked for you and what hasn't worked for you. And from the conversations that I have, that I've had over those years with hundreds of clients and even more gym members, I realized that not everyone is drawn to the same things. Everyone receives immense benefit from different things. And the main thing is to be active and to move your body in ways that feels good, that you enjoy. And I'm also kind of amazed, having been in gym environments for many years and then also just talking to lots of different people, how many people think that whatever has worked for them is going to work for everyone, or whatever their favorite activity is the activity that everyone should do. And so it's just kind of humorous at this point for me to see people. It is funny that it's kind of the people that are typically more narcissistic and have had fewer challenges and therefore less experience, who think they know the most about what other people should be doing with their fitness and how they could reach their goals. So what I'm always telling clients is that you have the potential, it's if you choose it, but you have the potential of being the world's foremost expert on your body if you're paying attention, if you listen to your body. And you can trust your instincts, you can trust your intuition, you can trust your inclinations. What are you drawn to? What feels good? What have you experienced success with? You are becoming the world's foremost expert on you, on your body, on your health, and how you function and how you need to care for yourself. So that is super valuable, really good education. Just because someone knows more scientific studies or more data doesn't mean they know anything more about you. And so we can look to science and studies and research and all of that to help us, because it is helpful, but it's not conclusive. Even the most thorough research is done usually on such a small percentage of the population, or maybe a small demographic, that translating that to what might work for you is still a pretty big jump. So learn as much as you can, know as much as you can. Doesn't mean dismiss the research, but you have to be the ultimate scientist in your own lab and figure out what works for you and listen to your body's feedback. So I love that you are, Danielle, staying committed to your health. You're always going to lift weights, but that you also have this dream of doing a sprint triathlon. And I think that's so cool. My first fitness job was at the YMCA in Albany, Oregon. And we put on at least one sprint triathlon each year. that I was there. And so as a staff person, I got to help out with that. I got to help work with people that were training for it. And then some of my staff were competing in it and also instructors for some of the training. And one of my fitness class substitute teachers, we're still friends, and she's amazing. She's done over 12. Hey, Nadi, good to see you. My friend from the YMCA has done over 12 Ironmans, which is just insane. But she just loves endurance, and she's just kind of, I think of it as her being crazy that way, because like that's a lot of running, a lot of swimming, a lot of biking. So her favorite thing to do on a Saturday is either go run for 20 miles or ride her bike for 120 miles or go swim for 3.5 hours at the pool. So yeah, she's just crazy. And I've done some strength training with her, and it's funny because like she can't lift. She gets to a certain weight and she goes from being able to do like an endless number of repetitions to not being able to lift anything suddenly because she's training very specific muscle fibers, her endurance muscle fibers, and she doesn't train the other ones. She also teaches like body sculpt classes where they're doing 50 to 100 repetitions of different things. So she's like very much endurance focused, and but then when she gets to a certain weight, then all of a sudden she just can't lift it anymore, because it's either she can lift it a long time or she just can't lift it at all, and it like might be 5 pounds different, but it's funny like that. So then I'm on the other end where I've practiced lifting heavy things for a long time, but I can sprint really fast, but I don't last very long. So if I'm playing a sport like soccer or volleyball or pickleball, where it's more of like a series of sprints, then I can do that for maybe an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours sometimes. But I hate running in a straight line. So we all have different things, different propensities that our body leans toward physically, like in its physical makeup, biologically, and then also just what we enjoy. And those tend to line up. So you might be more of an endurance person, or you might be more of a sprint person, or you might be more of a lifting person, or you might be more of a swimmer. There's like a very specific swimmer type. And then, just like sports, whatever it is, like people tend to gravitate towards specific things. So I always want my clients to start with a thing that you enjoy, and then based on the goals that you have for your health and fitness and physique and your appearance, like then maybe you have to add a couple of things that you don't enjoy as much just to reach your goals. But you should be building your program around the things that you do enjoy. So so good job, Danielle. Wishing you so much love and strength and courage as you are leaving your toxic person permanently soon, and making those positive changes in your health and fitness. So let me know if you have any questions while you're here. Would love to answer those. And if you're watching the replay, still go ahead and post a question. I should see it, and we'll respond. And as always, like I've been talking to a few of you this week over Messenger. So if you have a question that feels a little more personal or specific or whatever, you can message me and I'll get back to you. So Lori says, I'm a flexibility person. Touched my nose to my knee at Tai Chi class, Monday, leaning forward. Yeah, that's some good flexibility. Yeah, my muscles tend to be really wound up. I don't say that they're tight because with just a little bit of movement and stretching, they can be quite flexible, but they're just wound, which is great for explosiveness and quick change of direction and speed, all that stuff. But I'm not generally a flexible person, and if I've played pickleball for 2 hours, then I look like an old man because I'm really stiff. But that's awesome that you're really flexible, and I love that you're taking those classes. I'm wondering, Oregon just lifted the mask mandate Friday night at midnight. I'm curious whether your class, if you're still wearing a mask or you don't have to, or what that's like for you. But that's cool that you have that flexibility as a superpower. So my plan is to upload this video to YouTube, and so people can watch it at a little faster speed if they want to, and while they're doing other things. And yeah, if you have questions, as always, reach out to me. Let me know what's going on, how I can help you, how I can support you. That's why you have me on retainer as your trainer and life coach. So use me for your support. So no masks. That's why I was finally able to go back in person classes 2 weeks ago. Awesome. Very cool. Yeah. Congratulations. So thank you all for being here, and thank you for participating in these conversations. Feel free to start conversations on your own as you need to, post in the group, ask a question or share your story. We're here to support each other, and you never know what help might come unless you are willing to practice the vulnerability to share what's going on for you. So hope you're well. Hope you have a great week. Love you guys. Talk to you soon.